What's up, everybody, and welcome to BioS 3 Raw TV. We're back with Bodybuilding Basics 101. This is part 2, dos, if you're in Mexico. And we're going to continue today with your Bodybuilding Basics part of diet, which is insulin levels and fat loss and what the relation to those two are. Again, continuing with the fact that I keep getting questions about my dieting, how fast I diet down, and why I'm able to maintain muscle mass. This is a big topic that I'm not going to say that other gurus and dietitians don't know it, but I think they really overlook it, and they go for more of the calories in, calories out, and don't look at the hormonal manipulation, which we've talked about many times. So we're going to reference again Chris Aceto's book. For those of you who missed the last video, Chris Aceto is a top trainer to IFBBs, NPC, top national level athletes. He is a science guy. He graduated from summa cum laude from Springfield College in Massachusetts with a degree in applied exercise science. So he's a science guy, but he applies it over and over again, and it's miraculous what he does with his athletes. So that being said, let's launch right into this. We talked last time about carbohydrates and sugars and stuff like that. So we're going to talk a little bit more about insulin levels and what they have to do with fat loss. So sky-high insulin levels can divert some glucose away from glycogen stores and towards fat stores. One big meal is never a good idea. Okay, that meaning a lot of those guys who like to have the 1 or 2 big meals are absolutely going to get a bigger flux of insulin to try to move those calories. And what's going to happen eventually is it's not going to be able to push all those into the glycogen stores. Okay, sooner or later there's going to be too much food. Your body keeps pushing more insulin to try to get the carbohydrates, fats, proteins, all that stuff moving, and as the insulin rises, your body goes out of fat burning mode. Okay, insulin is a storage hormone, and if your insulin levels are high, not insulin levels there period, but if insulin levels are high, you're not going to be burning fat, and there is a possibility you actually be gaining fat. So by over and over, day after day, spiking the insulin levels over and over again, there's a good possibility that your body will become stagnant. So whatever you're burning off fat wise, you're putting back on by increasing your insulin levels too high. So then you have plateaus where you're stuck at for weeks at a time, where you're only losing 1/4 pound a week, which that's pretty slow progress. That sucks. Okay, nobody should have to sit there and lose 1/4 pound to 1/2 pound a week and be busting their ass in the gym just because they want to eat everything in one meal. There's a right and a wrong way to do it. Well, you know what? Let me rephrase it. There's not really a right and a wrong way. There's an efficient and non-efficient way to do it. If you arrive driving cross country and it took you 18 days to drive cross country, you didn't do it the most efficient way. Okay, bottom line is, Carrie and I drove from Montana to DC. It took us like 4.5 days. We picked the routes first, made the plan, stuck to the plan, took the most efficient routes, didn't take the toll roads, and we got here fast. Now this is pretty much the same thing. If you want to get to your goal most efficiently, okay, I'm not saying you still can't get to the goal by eating one meal, but most efficiently get to the goal as fast as you possibly can, then you're going to have to do things a certain way. And I'm trying to give you that certain way, where everybody else likes to seem to think it's the easier way to do it the other way. Okay, so this way will be a little bit harder because you have to stick to your diet a little more, and you have to eat certain foods, and certain foods will be limited, but you'll get to your goal. Isn't that the ultimate thing? I mean, it's not supposed to be, you know, oh, I'm eating all these fun foods and having such a great time. Well, if you want to do that for general, just getting in shape, fine. But if you want to get into competition shape, you're going to have to suffer a little bit. Let's see. Contrast to one meal, multiple meals encompassing the very same daily caloric intake have lesser chance to stimulate fat. Smaller meals is equated with less total glucose in the blood at any one given time. That means that as you slowly digest these meals, insulin levels rise, but only to a certain point. Okay, so there's not excessive insulin, which doesn't knock you out of that fat burning zone. So at the same time you're shuttling these nutrients in, stabilized blood sugar is a very important thing, for energy levels, as well as to stay in the fat burning zone. That's how it works. High insulin levels, or high insulin levels and fast drops, are what really throws your body for a loop, and it does go into a sense of shock, and it has these checks and balances that it sets off to make sure that it doesn't go into shock, because it doesn't want to die. It sees something haywire coming. So one giant meal, huge insulin spike, and then it drops. So of course your body's not meant to do that. So obviously it's going to have these different things that it does to try to avoid that and level out your blood glucose. Breaking your total food intake into 5 or 6 meals over a day controls how much glucose you dump into your bloodstream, which in turn moderates insulin release. When insulin levels are more moderate as opposed to continuously elevated, the body tends to increase and upgrade its ability to store muscle glycogen. And when glucose is being packed away as glycogen, it is not being stored as body fat. So now if you're directing all the carbohydrates you're taking in towards the muscle, it can't be stored as fat. Once it's in the muscle, it's going to be burned off for energy. Okay, it'd be very hard to get it into the muscle, bring it back into the bloodstream to be burned off, and then somehow get it shoved back into the fat stores. So, that almost, I'm not going to say it never happens or it can't happen, but it's much more difficult for that to happen. Calories are important, and reducing them ever so slightly will coax the body to lose fat. But choosing the right foods and eating multiple meals is almost equally important as the total caloric value. Thus, fat inhibition is understanding what else to do outside of reducing total calories to encourage the genesis of lean body mass. So basically what he's saying is, if you are just checking your calories, keeping your calories in check, eating certain foods, not getting the hormonal response, there's a possibility you could not burn fat, or burn fat very slowly because of meal timing, as well as the type of foods that you're taking in. Now also at the same time, if you're keeping track of meal timing and what kind of foods, but not controlling your caloric intake, again, the same thing could happen. So they kind of work together in tandem to get you the best results that you can get and the most efficient results that you can get. Now, do you have to abide by these rules? No, but you're not going to get the results like the guy who does. And that's the bottom line. What we're all about is not having to wait 6 weeks to see a change in your physique. In the first week, you should see a change in your physique. Absolutely. The second week more, third week more, fourth week more. There should be no plateaus stagnating. For 3, I heard one girl, 6 weeks, her body had plateaued before her trainer changed anything. 6 weeks. I don't know what her trainer thought was going to happen in 6 weeks. But obviously, he just sat back and didn't give a shit because she just sat there stagnant. So she kept pushing. Her body got more resistant. And then what he did was pull a little bit of calories. Well, she made another, drop on the scale. Plateaued again. Waited another week. Pulled in some more calories. Got another drop on the scale. So essentially, they're damaging her metabolism because as they pull those calories, she's now not in a fat burning mode when she's plateaued. When they pull those calories out, she's burning muscle tissue, which is slowing down her metabolism. If you can build muscle tissue, you will speed metabolism. This is part of how you add weights to the diet together. Okay, because if you're dieting without the weights, you're not going to be building muscle. Okay, you may lose fat, but you're not going to build muscle. So if you take all your proteins in and you're hitting all your meals, you're feeding your muscles, and you're training to get the stimulus to build the muscle, you will increase muscle mass. Even on a caloric deficit, it is possible to increase muscle mass at the same time decrease body fat. Now I can hear some of you guys already yelling, no, it's impossible, no, it's impossible. I got clients right now that are off here on YouTube that have hired me off of YouTube, and I get email from them constantly saying, I can't friggin' believe it. I can't believe that I reduced my, I increased my protein intake, and I reduced my volume, and I'm losing fat and gaining muscle. I'm up 2 pounds on the scale, but my abs look better. Okay, so it definitely does happen. These are natural athletes, not people on gear. Not that it matters, because if you're natural or not natural, it doesn't freaking matter. It works the same way. It's just more emphasized if you're taking gear. Instead of 4 pounds of muscle you may put on in a month, you may put on 6 to 10 pounds of muscle. But it works the same way, same systems of the body, same energy pathways, protein, carbs, and fats, training, stimulus, cardio. It's all the same. BioStrengthTraining@gmail.com. Leave comments down below. www.biostrengthtraining.com is the blog. Check out the new I Don't Need Easy, I Just Need Possible. Coming out on a limited edition t-shirt, gray BioS3 Battalion shirts. It's a small run that I did, limited edition. I thought it looked cool, so I'm going to put some out. I made it for myself, but I'm going to have about 30 of them ready to put out. So check those out. They'll be out soon. And we're out.